Chosen one, center your spirit right now. Do not let the distraction of this world steal this specific moment from you. Logically, you should have broken 3 days ago. You should have turned bitter. You should have walked away. The fact that you are still standing is a spiritual anomaly. You think God is silent because he is absent. He is silent because he is stunned. You did not just pass the test, you confused the enemy and captivated heaven. Listen to me closely. This message has been trying to reach you for 72 hours. The enemy tried to distract you with drama, with noise, just to keep your thumb scrolling past this. But you broke through. You are here. And I need you to understand that this is not a YouTube video. This is a divine summons. Do not leave this message until the final second. We are going to unlock the divine Or protocol. By the end of this recording, you will understand exactly why your life has been under such heavy fire. You will receive the specific framework to handle the promotion that is coming. If you leave halfway, you are walking out of the operating room while the surgery is still in progress. Right now, even as you hear my voice, you feel a heaviness in the center of your chest. You are tired, but it is not the kind of tired that sleep can fix. You have been sitting in a waiting room for months. You ask the ceiling, God, did I fail? Why is it so quiet? You have felt invisible. You speak, but people do not seem to hear you. And lately, a cold thought whispers, maybe God has forgotten me. Listen to me, that pressure on your chest, that is not depression. In Hebrew, the word for glory is kavod. It means heavy. The pressure you are feeling is the weight of the glory settling upon your life. You are feeling heavy because God is trusting you with a massive assignment. The fact that you are feeling this pressure is the first sign that you have been approved for the transport of something massive. But the silence, that is what hurts the most. You have been loyal, faithful, kept your hands clean. And yet, heaven seems to have gone mute. The enemy has been using this silence to torment you. But I am here to prophesy to your spirit. The silence you are hearing is not abandonment. It is awe. Picture a grandmaster chess player making a move. Nobody saw coming. The entire stadium goes quiet. They are stunned by the brilliance of the move. Chosen one, you are that move. God is silent because he is watching you with absolute wonder. He is stunned that you are still praising him, still kind, that you have not cursed him and died. You are a glitch in the enemy's system. His algorithm predicted you would crash 3 months ago. But you are here listening to a word about God. That is why the atmosphere is silent. You have the full attention of the throne room. But here is the danger. Most chosen ones fail the test at the very last second. You think God is stunned because of your endurance. You think the test was about how much suffering you could swallow. But I need to tell you the truth. That is not why God is stunned. Endurance is the baseline. You are not just a soldier, you are royalty. The test was not about your strength. It was about a specific choice you made when you had the power to destroy someone. Once you understand this, the heavy weight on your chest will lift. You have convinced yourself that this was an endurance test. You think, God is testing to see how much pain I can take before I break. So you have been gritting your teeth, swallowing your tears, putting on that mask of invincible strength. Because you think the test is about endurance, you are exhausted. But chosen one, endurance was not the final test. Endurance was just the prerequisite. The book of James, chapter 1, verse 12 says, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life. The Greek word for stood the test is dokimos. It means you went into the fire. The impurities were skimmed off, and what came out was approved. The fire did not just burn you, it purified you. So what was the impurity God was trying to remove? Here is the revelation. The test was not about how thick your skin is. The test was about how soft your heart remained. The spiritual anomaly that has God stunned right now is not your strength. It is your mercy. Specifically, your ability to show mercy when you had the absolute power, the valid reason, and the perfect opportunity to take revenge. Let us zoom into that moment, last week. You know the one I am talking about. Let us go back to that specific conversation or that specific text message thread. Your heart was racing, your stomach was in knots. You were looking at the evidence of what they did to you. The betrayal was clear. The lies were blatant. And a voice in your head, a very loud, very logical, very human voice screamed at you. It said, destroy them. It said, expose them. It said, send the screenshot, tell the secret, ruin their reputation, like they ruined yours. You have the ammunition, you have the right. Do it. I know you felt that. It was not holy. It was not pretty. It was raw rage. It was the desire to see them hurt the way you hurt. That is the natural human reaction. That is the law of karma. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. But then, you did something that makes no logical sense. You did something that violates the laws of human nature. You paused. You felt that heat in your chest, but you did not let it out. You looked at the weapon in your hand, that damaging information, that cutting comeback, and you put it down. You deleted the draft. You walked away from the argument. You chose silence when you could have chosen violence. That moment right there, that specific split-second decision, that is what stunned God. That is the mercy anomaly, because endurance is natural. Anyone fights for survival. But mercy, mercy when you are bleeding. Mercy when the knife is still in your back, that is supernatural. That is not human behavior. That is divine DNA activating in a human vessel. When you chose not to strike back, you showed heaven that you are not just a survivor. You showed heaven that you can be trusted with power. Because if you cannot stop yourself from destroying an enemy when you are weak, God certainly cannot trust you with the power to destroy nations when you are strong. The test was never about whether you could take a punch. It was about whether you would throw one back, and you passed. You kept your heart soft in a season designed to make it stone hard. But I hear your thoughts spinning right now. I can hear the fear rising up in your throat. You are thinking, but if I show mercy, will they not just do it again? If I do not fight back, am I just being a doormat? Am I just letting them win? How do I show mercy to someone who is still holding a weapon against me? That sounds crazy. That sounds dangerous. That sounds like weakness. Actually, it is the ultimate form of power. But to wield it without getting destroyed, you need a strategy. There is an ancient paradox, a specific spiritual maneuver that King David used to turn his greatest enemy into his footstool, without ever lifting a sword. It is called the Davidic paradox. And if you want to walk into your promotion tomorrow, you need to apply this immediately. To understand the Davidic paradox, walk with me into the first book of Samuel, chapter 24. You are David, hiding in a cave, hunted by Saul. Your heart is pounding. Suddenly, Saul enters the cave. He is alone, vulnerable, completely unaware you are feet away in the shadows. This is the ultimate test. Your men whisper, "This is the day the Lord spoke of. Do it, End the misery. Take the throne. Killing Saul would solve all your problems. No more running. No more hiding. Every logical fiber in your body is screaming, strike now. But David does something that stuns the angels. He gets close enough to end it, but instead of slicing Saul's throat, he gently slices the corner of Saul's robe. By cutting the hem, David was saying, I hold your life in my hand. I could take it all, but I choose not to. This is the Davidic paradox. The paradox is this: you do not win the throne by killing the king. You win the throne by sparing him. True power is not displayed when you destroy someone who is weaker than you. True power is displayed when you have the absolute ability to destroy them, but you choose to restrain yourself. Pause right here. I need to know if this word is landing on your spirit. In the comment section below, type one word: released. That is your spiritual signature. That is you telling heaven and telling this remnant community that you are stepping out of the revenge game. When you type that word, you are making a public declaration that shifts the atmosphere. Do it now before we go deeper. So, how do you apply this to your life tomorrow morning? The Davidic paradox operates on two movements: restrain and release. Step 1 is restrain. This is the hardest thing you will ever do. It is having the nuclear codes and choosing not to push the button. In your life, the sword is not a metal blade. The sword is the screenshot you have on your phone right now. The sword is the secret you know about that coworker who is sabotaging you. The sword is the scathing email you have drafted in your head. The enemy wants you to use the sword. He wants you to leak the secret. He wants you to post the screenshot, because if you do, you might win the argument. But you will lose the anointing. You will lower yourself from a king to a brawler. Restraint means you look at the evidence that could ruin them, and you keep it in the dark cave. You cut the robe, meaning you let them know you know, or you acknowledge the truth to yourself. But you do not go for the kill. Step 2 is release. After David cut the robe, his conscience bothered him. Even that small act of vandalism felt like too much. He walked out and shouted to Saul, "May the Lord judge between you and me, and may the Lord avenge the wrongs you have done to me. But my hand will not touch you." That is the release. You are handing the court case over to the supreme judge. You are saying, "God, I am stepping out of the judgment seat so you can sit in it." And let me tell you, God is a much more thorough judge than you could ever be. When you try to get revenge, you can only affect their circumstances. When God deals with them, He deals with their soul. But here is what I know you are thinking. If I do not defend myself, they will think I am weak. This fear comes from a misunderstanding. Biblical meek does not mean weak. The Greek word in Matthew chapter 5, verse 5, is praus. It described a warhorse. A warhorse is powerful, trained, deadly, but has learned to submit its power to its rider. When you show restraint, you are not being weak. You are being controlled. You are being strategic. Now let me show you the divine awe protocol. This 3-step framework will turn your enemies into your footstool without you lifting a finger. Move number 1 is the sovereign silence. This is not the silence of fear. This is the silence of a king who refuses to dignify lies with a response. When someone lies about you, your flesh wants to defend. Your ego screams, "Set the record straight." But the moment you start defending yourself, you make yourself equal to your accuser. You step off the throne and enter the mud pit. Kings do not debate with peasants. When you stay silent, you are saying, "I do not owe you an explanation. I answer to a higher court." When you refuse to defend yourself, you force God to be your defense attorney. and he has never lost a case. Move number 2 is the table. This comes straight from the book of Psalms, chapter 23, verse 5. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. We quote this all the time, but we miss the strategy. Notice the location of the table. It is not prepared in a safe space. It is not prepared after the enemies leave. It is prepared in the presence of your enemies. God is not hiding you from your haters. He is feeding you in front of them. He is promoting you while they watch. The table means you keep showing up. You keep working. You keep creating. You keep building your business, writing your book, launching your project, while the people who tried to destroy you are forced to watch you thrive. You do not need them to apologize. You do not need them to admit they were wrong. You just need to keep eating at the table. The table is not about them. It is about you refusing to let their betrayal stop your appetite for destiny. Move number 3 is the hardest one. This is the nuclear option. It is the blessing. I want you to do this mentally right now. I want you to bring the face of the person who has caused you the most pain into your mind. See them clearly. Now, instead of imagining them being punished, I want you to imagine a beam of light hitting them. I want you to say in your spirit, I bless them. I bless their finances. I bless their health. I release them from my judgment. Feel the resistance in your gut. That is your flesh dying. Push through it. When you bless them, you are breaking the tether that ties you to their dysfunction. Does this actually work in the real world? Let me tell you about Michael. Michael is a high-level creative director who watches this channel. About 8 months ago, a new manager came into his department. This manager was insecure, manipulative, and threatened by Michael's talent. It started small. The manager would leave Michael off important email chains. Then he started taking credit for Michael's ideas in meetings. Then came the sabotage. The manager presented a project to the CEO that Michael had spent 3 months building, and he put his own name on the cover. He completely erased Michael's contribution. Michael found out 5 minutes before the meeting. His blood was boiling. He had the email trail. He had the timestamps. He had the proof. He was ready to storm into that conference room and expose the fraud in front of the CEO. He was ready to go to war. But Michael remembered the divine awe protocol. He stopped in the hallway. He felt the Holy Spirit press down on his chest, and he chose the sovereign silence. He did not storm the room. He did not send the angry email. He went back to his desk and he sat down. Then he moved to the table. He decided that instead of fighting for credit, he would work twice as hard on the next phase of the project, knowing the manager could not execute it because he did not understand the vision. And then Michael did the unthinkable. He applied the blessing every morning on his drive to work. He prayed for that manager. He prayed for his insecurity to be healed. He prayed for his family. He said, it felt like swallowing broken glass at first, but he kept doing it. Here is what happened. 3 weeks later, the CEO called Michael into his office. Michael thought he was getting fired. The CEO looked at him and said, I noticed something in the last presentation. The data was good, but when I asked your manager to explain the strategy, he could not do it. He froze. It became very clear to me that he did not write it. The CEO continued. But what impressed me more, Michael, was that you never complained. You never bad-mouthed him. You just kept delivering excellence. That kind of character is rare. That afternoon, the manager was let go. Not because Michael exposed him, but because the table was prepared in the presence of the enemy, and the enemy exposed himself. But here is the stunner. Michael did not just get his old job back. The CEO created a new position for him, Vice President of Strategy, skipping 2 levels of management. He was promoted over the very seat that tried to crush him. If Michael's story mirrors your situation right now, I need you to bear witness. Go to the comments and write, "I choose the table." Do not explain it. Do not tell your story yet. Just plant that seed. Because when you declare it publicly, you activate accountability. The enemy cannot pull you back into the fight when you have already announced your exit. That is the divine or protocol. Silence. The table. The blessing. It works because it takes the battle out of the realm of human logic and places it into the realm of divine jurisdiction. Now listen carefully. This protocol requires ongoing reinforcement. You cannot walk this path alone. The remnant needs the remnant. If you are serious about operating at this level, about joining the royal priesthood that refuses to fight dirty, then you need to stay connected to this frequency. Hit that subscribe button right now. This is not about my channel growing. This is about you not forgetting what you just learned when the enemy attacks you tomorrow morning. Subscribe, so this message can find you again when you are weak. But I must give you a critical warning. When you activate this protocol, you are lighting a flare in the spiritual realm. You signal to heaven, you are ready for promotion, but also signal to hell, you are a threat. The enemy will launch a counter-offensive. Within 40 days, specific traps will show up, designed to get you to return to your old way of fighting. Let me warn you about the 3 deadliest traps. Trap number 1 is the victim bait. This usually comes in the form of a reactivation text message or a sudden, unexpected disrespect from a third party. You will be feeling good, feeling holy, walking in your peace, and suddenly the person you forgave will do something petty, or a random stranger will be rude to you. The enemy is fishing. He is dangling a hook in front of your face to see if you will bite. He wants you to say, "I tried to be nice, but it did not work. They do not deserve my mercy." He wants you to slip back into the victim mentality, because once you are a victim, you lose your power as a king. When this happens, and it will happen, do not react. Recognize it as bait. Look at the hook and swim right past it. Trap number 2 is the gossip trap. This is subtle. You will feel an overwhelming urge to tell someone about what you did. You will want to call your best friend or your mother and say, "You will not believe what they did to me, but I was the bigger person. I forgave them, even though they were terrible." Stop. That is a trap. The moment you pick up the phone to vent, you are leaking your power. You are looking for validation from people instead of God. You are trying to get the glory for your humility. True mercy is silent. If you have to broadcast your forgiveness, you have not actually forgiven. You are just posturing. Keep your mouth shut. Let this be a secret between you and God. The more you talk about the wound, the longer you keep it open. Trap number 3 is the most dangerous of all. It has killed more destinies than sin ever could. It is the pride trap or the spiritual ego. We see a terrifying example of this in the Gospel of Luke. Chapter 18. Jesus tells a parable about a Pharisee and a tax collector. The Pharisee stands in the temple looking confident, looking holy, and he prays, "God, I thank you that I am not like other people, robbers, evildoers, adulterers, or even like this tax collector." Do you see the trap? He is doing the right things, but his spirit is toxic. He is using his righteousness as a weapon to look down on others. When you start applying the divine or protocol, you are going to feel a shift. You are going to feel powerful. You are going to feel cleaner and higher than the people attacking you. And right there, in that moment of victory, the enemy will whisper, "Look at how holy you are. Look at how spiritually mature you are compared to those low-level people." If you agree with that whisper, you become the Pharisee. You develop a spiritual ego. You start treating people with condescension instead of compassion. And the moment arrogance enters your heart, God resists you. You passed the test of mercy, but you failed the test of humility. So, how do you win this confrontation? How do you survive the next 40 days? You remember who is watching. You remember that you are not a victim. You are a king in training. And you apply this protocol every single day for the next 40 days. Like your destiny depends on it. Because it does. The promotion is coming. The table is being prepared. But you have to stay in position. I am going to pray an activation prayer over you right now. Do not skip this, Father. I speak over every person hearing my voice right now. I declare that the season of hidden preparation is over. I declare that the weight they have been feeling is not depression. It is the weight of glory. I activate the divine awe protocol over their life right now. I seal their mouth from gossip. I seal their heart from bitterness. I seal their hand from revenge. And I open the floodgates of heaven over their finances, their relationships, their health, and their destiny. Let the enemies watch as you prepare the table. Let the doubters be silenced as you vindicate your chosen. In the mighty name of Jesus, it is done. It is finished. It is sealed. When you walk away from this message, you are not the same person. The old you died in this moment. Walk like it. Stand like it. The crown is being sized for your head right now. The divine awe protocol is now activated in your life.